I wouldn't call it comedic. I'm giving it 10 stars. I am, but read it. It's so good. What? Hello. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a fantastic holiday, of course. I'm back from my break, so I had a good holiday. I also moved into a new room, as you can tell. I basically just took over my front room, so my poor husband. But I mean, I think it looks cool in here. I'm very happy. It's an art room / reading room / office, so I'm in a much bigger space. I'm in a new space. That's basically what I'm getting at. But anyways, I have a wrap up for you for December, which honestly was pretty damn good. I found my perfect book. So all of 2023, I was telling you how I was looking for my perfect sort of romance novel that wasn't a historical. And I found it. It's over 5 stars. I'm not that type of person, so I'm gonna gush a little bit. So I found that. I had another book that honestly I hate read with my patronies, and even with hate reading it with friends, it was still really hard to get through. Okay, that was like a 1 star. I don't want to burn it, but there was some big problems, okay? I might spoil that one. And then the rest of the books were just kind of mediocre. And then of course, my smutty reads, I will completely spoil for you in case you don't want to read them. So something to look forward to. I'll make sure everything's in chapters down below if you want to skip that stuff. And then at the very end, even though the Readathon has already started as of January 1st, I'm going to go over my Once Upon a Readathon TBR in case you want to join and read with me, and we can buddy read over on the Once Upon a Readathon Discord. Okay. Before I jump into it, I just have a quick announcement. Feel free to jump ahead if you would like. I have a Patreon. I've mentioned it a couple times before, but I just wanted to say that now that it's January, we are officially starting the whole Romance Readathon creation process and the planning process. And if you want to become part of my paid patronies, then you are a part of the creation process and the planning process. And that starts January 14th. That will be our first meeting. I will also announce what the theme is going to be, what the genre is really kind of based around, all of that jazz. So if you'd like to be a part of that, feel free to sign up. I'll leave the link down below. I also have a free membership where we can just like hang out over on my Discord, and you can have like access to more behind the scenes sort of things if you want. Enough of that. Okay, let's get into the books. I'm going to start with the ones that I won't spoil except for this one. So it's A Ballad of Nightmares. This is the 1-star read. This is the hate read that we did that I actually DNF'd earlier on in the beginning of the year of 2023 because I just couldn't do it. But then one of my patronies really wanted to do a hate read together. So I'm like, all right, this is the perfect book, let me tell you. Mainly because I had an issue with Death, who is like the prime character, because the whole plot of this is basically, it's kind of hard. It's a little murky in here just because I don't really know what was going on. It was bad. But anyways, I'm going to attempt to do this. We have a mortal witch who's going down into the realms. I don't know if it is hell or if it's just the world. I'm very confused on that. I also don't know the time period, but she's like overthrowing each of the kingdoms. There's like Firemore, Ironmore, Shadowmore, which is where Death is. And she's basically on her last one, which is Death. And Death and her basically see each other. They lock eyes. She doesn't know it's him, but he knows it's her. And, you know, they get it on. That's basically what it is. This is a very steamy book. Very, very, very steamy. I wouldn't say it was well done. There's some awkward parts. Mainly, one of my biggest things, my issue with this was that this is kind of dark, but it's not like dark toxic. Well, it's a little dark toxic. I don't even know how to describe its darkness. He's trying to be like loving and say sweet things, and same with her, but it's done in a way where they're like kind of doing metaphors with something dark. As an example here, okay, this is the spoiler part, so feel free to jump ahead. But they just had sex, and she's like basically walking up the stairs back up her apartment, and of course, you know, she's dripping. Okay. One of them, I don't remember even who said it, but one of them talks about how it's going to like land on the steps, and they hope an old person like slips on it and dies. What? I don't get it. There's a lot of just really weird comparisons. That's all I'm saying. It was just not great. The writing wasn't super well done. is not horrendous. She like is readable, but the execution of it was just not quite there. There was a lot of plot holes where I don't, like I said, don't know the time period. I don't know where we are. Sam, who is death, his name is Sam. He's this motorcycle dude, and you would think that like he's all powerful and all of this stuff, but he seems very much like a pushover and like someone you don't really need to fear, but they tell you that you should fear him. Meanwhile, I just felt like I could like kill him with a spoon. It was really bad, man. It was really bad. So that happened. That was that book. Don't really recommend. I honestly don't even think I quite recommend that as a hate read. The other hate read I did with friends earlier in the year was Tin. That was better. I think that's a better one to hate read. So if you're going to do that, I recommend that. But anyways, Cringle Academy. This one I mentioned in my last video, actually. And now that I have finished it, I have kind of new opinions. But we did this for Christmas. Again, this is on Patreon. This is what we actually read all together. And this one was very festive. It was a really good Christmas book, honestly, and it was funny, especially in the beginning. All the characters that you have, it was neat. We have like the last elf, which is a girl, and I can't remember her name now. It's in German, but her last name is Christmas. And she's basically trying to infiltrate Santa's academy. It's called Cringle Academy. She's trying to take back Christmas, trying to get her crown back from Santa. So she basically kidnaps him, and meanwhile is kind of getting caught by these other gentlemen. So this is a reverse harem. But we have Jack Frost, we have Pierre, we have Krampus, essentially, his name's Nick, but those are our love interests. So it's her basically trying to kidnap Santa and go through all the motions of getting her crown back while these gentlemen know exactly who she is, have this attraction to her, but are also simultaneously just kind of like, what are you doing? Because they're not really letting on, at least in the beginning, that they know. She thinks she's being real slick when she's not. So it's fun. And Santa is a completely different version than I guarantee you have ever thought of him before. He's just, I'm not even going to give it away in case you read it. I would still recommend you read it. I'm giving it 3.5 stars. Reason being, beginning, top notch, loved it. Honestly would have given it probably 4.5 stars to 5 stars if it kind of continued on this train. But just like Cute But Psycho, it has a lot of sex towards the end. So that becomes really, really focused on it. So that's the only thing that was kind of a bummer and kind of started to just pull me out of it. But there was a lot of really cute scenes. It was very like immersive in the sense of what the world was. It was very whimsical, very Christmassy, very festive. So I do recommend it as a Christmas book, but just be prepared. You might want to skip some sex scenes toward the end because there's a lot. Anywho, that was that one. The next one is actually the last book that I read, but I'm going to talk about it first before we go into like my 10-star read. But this one was actually given to me by Elliot Grayson. So thank you again, A, for thinking of me, and B, giving it to me for free. It was in exchange for an honest review. So that is what I will do here. But it's over on Amazon, and she has a huge catalog of books that you can actually choose from. But this is called The Royal Curse, and it's like 200 and something pages. It's not super long, but I personally would consider this more of like an erotic fantasy romance. It's definitely really focused plot-wise on kind of his sexual awakening, and there's a lot of sex in it because of that. So I would consider it an erotic romance. It's not really listed as that, but I think that's definitely a key thing you should know if you want to go check it out. But this is a male-male romance, and it's a fantasy romance, like I mentioned, where essentially there's like mages in this world, and kind of depending on the time that you're born, kind of affects what sort of mage that you are. And our prince that we are following essentially was born at twilight. Because of the god's whims, he's kind of cursed in a way. It's created a lot of problems for him. It's made him incredibly lonely. It makes him kind of live at the whims of his sexual needs, but he's never actually been with anyone. We do have a virgin hero. We do have like a bodyguard royalty sort of trope here. We do have forced proximity, but because he has this sort of curse that puts him in this pain while simultaneously also creates this enormous sexual need, he's dependent upon these potions that he takes, and they're not really working anymore, or they're starting to diminish, I should say. So he's seeking to go to a conference where he can speak to all of these other scholars and see if he could figure out some sort of other beneficial way to kind of keep the pain away. So his bodyguard, who is super freaking handsome and just amazing and caring and nurturing and big and beefy and knows exactly what to do in and out of the bedroom, he basically takes him to this conference, or they're at least on the way. During that whole period, something happens where it's going to require him to find another satisfactory replacement for his potions, let's say. I'll leave it at that. You can probably figure out where it's going. So it's going to be about his discovery and his sort of realization that he can be wanted and that he doesn't have to be lonely. And another big thing that I actually really appreciated about this novel was that we do have a queer romance here, and it's nice that it's not like one of the central themes isn't about kind of like how it's taboo if you're gay, lesbian, whatever it might be. It's not like that at all. It's no different than just, a flower growing out of the ground. It's freaking normal. So it's just nice not having to see that and feel like it's a taboo for just being yourself. So I massively appreciated that. Huge props on that. It was just a romance story, but it was an erotic romance story. So that was the thing for me that made me, I guess, enjoy it less, because it's just not my typical style. So it does make it hard for me to kind of rate. So take this with a grain of salt, really. But I think I'm going to give it like a 3.5 stars, mainly because for me, I would consider it more of an erotic romance, and the central focus of the plot is really them interacting with one another and kind of the sexual discovery amongst them. So there's more of that internal conflict of, am I good enough? Am I overstepping my duty? Can I be wanted? Things like that, instead of having like an external action-based conflict, which there is a little bit, but I would consider that to be a really small part of the story. So again, take it with a grain of salt. If you know you like erotica, definitely give it a damn shot. Oh, actually, the other reason why I would say I'm giving it a little bit less is just because I was a little wonky on trying to understand like what his powers were and why it makes him like be in pain, but also simultaneously he has this sexual need with it. I just didn't quite understand how that worked. So my brain just kept trying to find that question. But yeah, anyways. That's the Royal Curse. Again, thank you, Elliot. I really appreciate you sending it to me. But anyways, my last book, my perfect book, best book in the world, which you should read. It's Butcher and Blackbird. Blackbird. I always say Blackbeard. I have an obsession with pirates. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is. But Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. I read this because of my Sisterhood of the Traveling Book over on my Patreon. Jenny, this was her book. And oh my God, I am smitten as a kitten, okay? It's serial killers, okay? So, I mean, blood, hello. That's all I've been wanting in a romance. But we have blood. I don't know if gory's the right word. It definitely, like, it crosses a line, but like in a fun, playful way. It's basically like, it's super sweet, freaking cute. It makes your toes curl, it makes your toes curl in multiple ways, but it like gets you excited, gets you sweet, makes you, get all the little like shivers and cuteness because he says so many cute things and he has an Irish accent and he's cute and she's great and she's nervous and it's great. But it's basically all this like cute, sort of sweet stuff, but there's a dead body right there. That's the vibe, man, and it's perfection. And it's written so insanely well. The whole execution of the entire novel, fantastic. Her formatting, her like just the way that you move through the book, all the various different plot points, it holds your attention. It makes you want to change the page or turn the page. It makes you want to read every single sentence and just absorb it. It was fun and it's funny and it's cute and it's hot and it's well written and it's amazing. I'm giving it 10 stars. I am. Do I have one complaint? Yes. But I am accepting it, okay? But I've learned in the last year reading romance beyond historicals that there's certain things that you just have to accept with certain genres, okay? So the sex is good. It's fantastic even. But it's written more in the style that's more of the smutty side where it uses more of the vulgar sort of words throughout it. So that's the only thing that I would change. It didn't take me out of it. It's more of something like that's just not my preference. So I'll just tell you that. But it's really good, you guys. Okay. And there was an opportunity earlier on in the book for her to turn it into complete smut. And I honestly, with the trends of everything going on, I kind of expected that's what was going to happen, but she didn't do it. She built a legit romance where you're seeing two people, they're totally friends to lovers, that they fall for each other, but they fall kind of slowly. He falls first very quickly, very hard. She doesn't. She takes a little bit of time because, it's hard. It's a struggle being a serial killer and all this stuff, but it's good. It's so good, man. I can't wait for Leather and Lark. We were annotating the book and it was so fun. This is a great book, actually. If you want to do a Sisterhood of the Traveling Book, highly recommend this one. There's so much commentary that you can just talk about towards the end. I just freaking lost it. I start getting really, really talkative and I'm just like, oh God, oh my God. So I recommend it. That's basically what it is. I don't know if any of that was coherent, but read it. It's so good. Anyways, moving on. Let's get into the whole smutty side of things now. Okay, the Weird Ass Romance Book Club. It was me and Nikki and April. We were reading Festive Smut, as you do. I mean, it wasn't great, if I'm being completely honest. We didn't read any Grinch stuff. That's okay. We did attempt to read Slippery When Yeti, I think it was, but we DNF'd it like within 2 minutes, okay? Because it started off with a snake. So we asked for a Yeti, okay? But anyways, the first one that we read, what was it called? Yeah, Ravaged by the Gingerbread Man. I mean, it was kind of mediocre. It was 3.5 stars. Basically, we have these two bakers. I think they're sisters, and they are working their ass off, okay? It's the holidays. They accidentally made way too much gingerbread cookie dough. And one of the sisters is just, she can't handle it. She can't handle the fact that they just now lost a bunch of money because they spent all this money on these ingredients that they can't sell because gingerbread doesn't sell that great. And they've just been working their butts off all day, 7 days a week, all that jazz. So she goes home and our other chick, she's trying to make lemonade out of lemons. And she ends up making a ginormous freaking gingerbread man to go in the window. During this whole experience, she's thinking about how she's lonely and all of this stuff. And she makes a gingerbread boner. Okay? And then she cooks him with it. All right? And somehow that brought him to life. And when he comes out, she goes in the other room, of course. And when he comes out, he's done baking. She comes in because she hears something going on. And she turns the corner and she sees a gingerbread man a donut. Okay? And he basically sees her and he starts going into his like gingerbread man rhymes where I don't even remember exactly what it said, but it's like run, run, run as fast as you can. Something, I'm gonna you because I'm the gingerbread man. There's a lot of that. A lot of the gingerbread man sing-songy stuff. But she's into it. And he has flavored goodness. And she smears his like icing eyes and she gets smeared in his icing stuff, and she wakes up with no pants on. Her hair's a mess. Her sister comes in being like, what the hell? And the gingerbread man is over in the front room, and he has pants on. So he's just there in the window. No boner. So I think she ate it. I don't quite remember. It was 3.5 stars, if I'm being honest. It was the best one, but it was 3.5 stars. It's no Mantis, okay? Let's be honest. But the next one that we read was terrible. Oh my God. Nikki, she had way better ideas. But this was, what was it called? Things Heat Up with Frosty the Snowman. Okay, awesome. The cover of it looks like a freaking horror movie. I saw potential. It was only 6 pages, but it literally is pure, unadulterated smut, and it's Frosty and a reindeer, and she's in a robe. I don't know if she's like a shifter deer thing or what, and if Frosty is truly a snowman or if he's like a shifter snowman. I personally pictured an actual reindeer and a snowman, which makes it weird, but I mean, whatever. Basically, he sees her crying because none of the other reindeer want her. And he comes over and immediately is like, I'm going to fuck you. And then he does. And there was no sort of analogies, okay? Like, we weren't working with any antler action. We weren't working with any carrots. We weren't working really with the, like, snow melting or something. It was just, there was potential, and it was not there. It was just purely, but we're saying it's Frosty the Snowman, so I wouldn't call it comedic. But anyways, the last one, this was a banana split for Xmas or Christmas. I don't know what I'm saying. This one, like, it was the longest one, and I think I'm the only one that read it, or maybe Nikki and I read it fully. April didn't. She DNF'd it. Again, it's not super great. But basically, there's this witch where she sets people up. She's basically a matchmaker. She's a matchmaker baker, honestly. And she has all these little goodies, like gingerbread men and banana split men and chocolate men, all these stuff. And they're like little cookies. And you take them home, and then if you leave them overnight, then something magical happens. But basically, they come to life, and they satisfy your every desire. They're basically your perfect soulmate. And our girl, she basically went for a banana split, because why the hell not? But he turns into a banana split man, and, you know, he gets down and dirty with her, loves all the same things that she loves. She basically wants him to be her boyfriend, and they just keep messing around and fooling around. There's pictures in this, by the way, and they're very graphic and weird, but he's not really like a banana split. He's kind of just a man with cone fingers and like gummy eyes. I wanted to be more like a banana split. 2023 made me into a weird woman, let me tell you that. But basically, she gets mad at him, says that she doesn't love him, and then he dies. And then 2 months later, she's basically begging the witch because she really did love him, but she just got nervous and scared because she was worried that she wouldn't have a normal life with children and all this stuff. But she really wants him back because he was so perfect. And she ends up meeting this guy at a coffee shop that reminds her a lot of her banana split boyfriend. And they go home after a date, and they start, and he turns into the banana split man, but his name's now Alex. Originally, we named him Rocky, which is good for like Rocky Road ice cream. We find out that the witch basically takes real humans and turns them into cookies, and then when their soulmates comes by, that's the one that they're attracted to. So she can have it all now. And he still somehow turned into a banana split man. So that's it. That's the story. That's all the smutty stories that I have for you. Again, not the best month, but, you know, not the worst either. Hornados sucked. But anyways, that was it. So the last little bit of stuff that I have for you, this is my Once Upon a Readathon TBR for January here. I have a handful. Obviously, these might change, but I have a handful here. Some of them I already talked about in my announcement video where I gave you guys some recommendations. But the first one I did talk about, it's A Kingdom of Frost and Malice. This was the one, if you want more details, go to that video. I'll link it down below. But this is the one that it's mentioned that it's a lot like Game of Thrones. It has that political intrigue there, but it's mixed with kind of the romance of ACOTAR, which, I mean, we all know how I feel about ACOTAR. But I'm hoping that it's a really good story. I want something really dark and really like dives into the story and has the central focus be on the romance, but I want that external, adventurous, political intrigue sort of plot. People die. I want to be gut-wrenched. I want to cry. I also want to be happy with the love and all that jazz. I'm asking a lot, I know. I see potential, basically, is what I'm getting at here. And it is a love triangle, so I'm interested. It is over 600 pages though, so I'm also intimidated. So we shall see if I read that. But the other one that I have that I also, no, I don't think I actually mentioned that one. It's called Killer Unicorn Apocalypse, which is this. It's not on KU. It is on Amazon. I paid money for this, and I hope it's really good. But honestly, I can't really give you like a synopsis without reading it. I won't read the whole thing. I'll take the key things that are basically in here. We have murderous unicorns, eccentric knights, a platoon of genocidal elves, a dream hijacking bounty hunter, a clan of cannibal gnomes, yes, and a terrifying alpha unicorn who is trying to annihilate the entire human race. So it's basically the apocalypse is happening because of this unicorn, and we have a band of all these merry men, I guess, all these crazy cannibalistic gnomes, genocidal elves, all sorts of stuff that is, I'm imagining, is going to give the funniest freaking banter. And there's simultaneously some sort of romance. They have to overcome their taboo, irresistible attraction for each other. Is it between the gnomes and the elves? I don't know, but that'd be fantastic. So I shall see. I'm going to annotate this, I think, because like I said, I think it could be really, really funny. But that's also a buddy read over on the Discord for Once Upon a Readathon. So definitely join us if you want. The next book I have was in my other video. This was can't even remember, 2 seconds. Unicorn Shifter Academy. That's the one where only men are like unicorn shifters, but now we have this one girl who looks like Rainbow Dash, and she goes to the academy, and all these men are super smitten as kittens because it's like they've never seen a woman before. But it sounds like it has the potential to be very similar to the Mate Games. Be kind of like that funny, sort of eccentric sort of book that does still have a storyline. So that's what I'm hoping for. We'll see. Fingers crossed that's what's going to be going on. The next one I have is Devil in Winter by Lisa Kleypas. I don't know her name. Lisa. But B is actually the one that recommended this. This is also another buddy read. B, my fellow unicorn babe. All right, we are your team leaders. Valiant leaders, I might say. We're going to kick ass. We're going to annihilate the other teams. Like Killer Unicorn Apocalypse. That's what's going to happen to the other teams. But I'm going to read this with her. Like I said, it's a buddy read, so we can all read this together. So I haven't read a historical in a while. I'm very excited just for like the cute sweetness that you get from those. And then lastly, I have Curse of Shadows and Thorns. This is on KU. I've actually had this for a while and haven't read it. I actually think I got this for Christmas of 2022. But this one's essentially, we have like a girl, I think her uncle's the king, and he's demanding that she gets married, I believe it is, and she kind of has her own sort of rebellious nature. She doesn't want to, but she ends up working with the dowry negotiator, which is kind of this mysterious man, and something happens to where they kind of believe she becomes a traitor, so her and the dowry dude basically run off, but he has some sort of curse. It sounds very much like a Beauty and Beast retelling sort of vibe. So I think it could be good. It had good reviews. I think this is actually likely going to be the book that we read for the month over on my Patreon. So we'll definitely be reading that one. But yeah, those are the 5 that I have. Just a quick little TBR for you. I likely will read others as well, maybe. We'll see how much I get to. But those are the books I have. So anyways, that's it. Hopefully some books resonated with you. I hope you read Butcher and Blackbird. It's amazing. It's better than How to Train Your Goblin King, which I loved that book too, but it's a 10-star read. And I have never gone above 5 stars, and I rarely give 5 stars. So 10 stars? Jiminy frickin' cricket. Hope you liked that. Again, if you want to be a part of the whole Romance Readathon creation process and the planning, then that's over on my Patreon, which I'll link down below. But otherwise, I will see y'all next week, or hopefully I'll see you over on the Once Upon a Readathon Discord. All right, so I'll catch you later. Bye.